Well, hey y'all, Six Gun Slinging here to do another knife review on another case knife. This time it is on the Case Copper Lock. This is one of my all-time favorites. Case didn't make them for a long time. I guess they had them what they call their vault program, which I call their bullshit program because I hate it. They make a cool knife and then they stick it in this thing they call the vault, which is basically where they don't make it for a while to artificially drive up the value. So they make them for 1 year, and then you run out and get them, and then if you don't get them, then you're screwed, or you get them on the secondary market. I don't know, I guess Case does that for their collectors. I think it's stupid, but I'm not really a collector, so, you know, to each their own. But they artificially drive up the value. And excuse the banging here, we got a huge windstorm going on here, but anyway, they artificially drive up the value of this knife. It's a cool knife. Everybody that wants one should be able to get one, but now you can't. I got this in I want to say 2020 up in Alpine, Texas, at this cool little saddle shop they had up there. And they had this knife, and I got this one at a saddle horn, which has also been discontinued. I'm glad. I got some cool knives that I bought, not because, you know, whatever, I liked them, and these happened to be some. And then no sooner, you know, a friend of mine saw it, wanted to get one, and they were discontinued. So anyway, one thing you'll notice about this knife, we'll do a little tour over here, is like the canoe knife, that bolster covers up the rear of the knife, so it transitions. It's real pretty. I like how they do that, and it covers up the front of the knife, much like a canoe. But it, you know, obviously it has more. It's a jackknife pattern, which means you know, all the blades are coming out of one side, and it more resembles a trapper than a canoe. But it does have that cool canoe feature. I'm going to open up the blade here. Another cool thing that it has is half stops, which, you know, no trapper ever had, but Case did half stops on this model. I'll give you a little example of the walk and talk. Got good snap. It locks into that half stop, and then let's open it up for you here. Good walk and talk. Real good snap. It's got that real pretty clip point. It's a little different than other Case knives clip points. It has that 2020 tank stamp. You can see there it's a little different. Case's newer, one of their newest tank stamp. This is in and then this, let me open the secondary blade for you here. There's no blade rub whatsoever. There's a guy named Big E on here. He always says straight up Broadway. That's his Kentucky term for you know, good centering. But anyway, it has this kind of elongated pin blade. I guess that's what that is. Got half stops as well. Got good snap, or as Terry's Knives and Man Stuff says, snappability. That's anyway what those guys say. Good snap though. This is in their green pocket worn. And what pocket worn is whenever they make a case knife, for those of you that don't know, they make the case knife and then they finish it, and they finish it in a process called hafting. And what hafting is you got these guys that are usually the most experienced guys over at Case, and they get it on a buffing wheel and they buff it out, you know, because if you buff it too much, you screw up the knife. If you don't buff it enough, it's not smooth. And and when they do these pocket worn, they buff it up just a little bit more to where it feels like it's worn in your pocket, like you've been carrying it around for years, and it just has this cool, smooth, already broken feel, like it's been carried around in your pocket for years. Now they do a good job, because I met an old man that had a 50s case knife that he'd carried since then, and it did have this really just smooth, you know, melted butter, rounded off texture, and it was really cool. But the rest of the knife was all beat to hell. So you get a knife that's not beat to hell but has these really smooth covers. Let me give you a look at these covers on both sides. They did a good job of matching them. And that's hard to do because the bone, they use some kind of shin bone off of these ox in Brazil to make these covers of the knife, is what they're called. And depending on the density and the porosity of the bone, and it affects how it will take the dye. And sometimes the bone will take the dye at different rates. And so they got a pile of them, and Case did a pretty good job of finding two pieces of bone that took the dye really well. You see, it's got that really nice Case script shield on there. I like it, just a round, nothing too fancy. Let's let you look at that centering there. Got some good centering on both blades. Case makes a really good knife. Sometimes it's hit or miss, but I can tell you most of my Case knives, and definitely on this one, it's a hit. It is very well built. We'll give you a look around tour of the knife. You can see that the transitions are really nice, super smooth. If you wanted to get this knife, you're not going to find one, at least not now, because it's in that ridiculous vault pattern. So some arbitrary time, whenever they feel like it, they'll re-release it, because that's what Case does. They got this goofy thing. I don't know, maybe you like it, so I ain't bashing you. If you like their vault program, that's fine. It's got a 3-inch blade, and let's see, closed it is almost 4 inches, about 4 inches long closed. Then the little pen blade, I can give you the measurements if you want that. Little pen blade here is, roll this sucker out. It's a 2.5 inches, and the cutting edge on that's about 2 1/4. Got a little choil on both blades. Got some fingerprints going on here too. I haven't carried this knife too much. I try to carry all my knives, and I make it a point, but this one I didn't carry. It's so pretty. I got other knives. I'm gonna carry it. I just hadn't carried it that much, but it's a real beauty. You can look how they polished off those pins. Got them down in the bone real pretty, and the pivot pin here, and going on right here. And this one has individual springs for each blade, which is really good, and there's no blade rub because there's only 2 blades. It's a good sturdy knife. I'd say the pull on this guy, I would rate the pull at about maybe 5.5, a very low 6. That's the amount of effort that it takes to open it. It has a standard nail nick on there, as you can see. I wish Case did long pulls. They don't. That's just not what they do. Everybody else does. Rough Rider to whoever else, they all do these long pulls. I really think it's classy, but they don't do it, but that's okay. I've got this copper lock I got a couple of them. I did a review on my channel here on a Rough Rider copper lock, and it's really cool because the blades that they give you, I don't know what the secondary blade is called, but on the Rough Rider, but it's not a pen blade. They give you 2 really long usable blades that are really cool, and I actually kind of prefer the blade configuration and everything on them Rough Riders. And the ones I got are real early ones, so that's when Rough Rider was really firing on all cylinders, making good knives. But Case has done an excellent job on this knife. Other than it being a vault pattern, I got no complaints about this knife whatsoever. It is a beautiful knife, as you can see. Case does a fantastic job. You can pick them up on the secondary market. I don't think they're too ridiculous. I don't know. I just don't like how they artificially jack up the value by... See, they had a knife that they used to make pretty regular called a Case sow belly. And they made a Case sow belly Stockman in chrome vanadium steel. And not just the yellow handle. They did it in red bone and chestnut bone and a couple other colors. And it was a regular item, and then they discontinued it. And then they made that old sow belly a vault pattern again, which same thing. They only, you know, they only start remaking it for a short time. I think that whole thing's so dumb. Excuse me, if you like it, all right, that's cool. I think it's dumb. They released a Congress that was in that vault pattern, and now they got one called the Razor, one-hand razor or something like that, which I think is kind of goofy, but I really don't like how they do that. You know, if you see a case knife you like, and they should just make them. They maybe they can have a limited release on colors and stuff, but you know, give the people what they want. Don't play games with people. I don't like all that. But you know, whatever. That's what they do. But anyway, I got a hold of one. I just happened to walk into that tack shop, and they had it. They had this one. They had this one and another one. I don't remember what color it was, but I saw this green, and I said, man, that sucker is beautiful. So I got it, and then I carried it 1 or 2 times. Then I just got to looking, and I said, man, that sucker's almost too nice to carry, which is ridiculous because you should carry any knife, but I don't know. I got other knives, including the Rough Riders, but I do enjoy carrying it sometimes. It gives me, as Wrangler Star says, it gives me the fizz. It gives me that good feeling when I take it out of my pocket and use it and look at it, and makes me not want to beat it up. Very smooth transitions. There's no daylight showing through there, so they've done a wonderful job. And I would say most of my case knives are like that. I got an old Mako that the blade's a little off center, but other than that, it's a great knife. But pretty much every case knife I got, the centering's been great. The finish and fit and finish has been great. The walk and talk is great. Case makes a good knife. They get dinged a lot because they're not as good as they were in the 50s, and they're not up to snuff as the Great Eastern Cutlery. But I'm going to tell you something. Great Eastern Cutlery is not up to snuff to their earlier knives. I got about 10 or 15 of those Great Eastern Cutleries that were made back when they were first coming out. You know, well, actually, I think around 2012 and up to 2015, I got a bunch of those Great Eastern Cutleries. I was snapping them up because you could get them for $80, 75, $80. And then Derek Bone, before he died, he had that Northwoods that he had. It was a line that he had custom made from Great Eastern Cutlery, and those things are just awesome. Had the arrowhead shields and a beautiful spear point blade, and he did them in a couple blades. That was a cool knife, but those are bringing big money now. But Derek Bone was a real knife guy. He's a guy that owned that knife Ship Free, and he was a real knife guy, and he was really cool, and he knew how to design a knife that looked cool. And Great Eastern Cutlery, they were firing on all cylinders at one time. But now I think Patty's Potato Peelers and some of these other guys are talking about them. Another guy named Rasputin's Castle, which is an interesting name. He looks super creepy in his picture, but he's a nice guy. He's a former Marine. Anyway, we were all talking about these Great Eastern Cutleries and kind of lamenting the fact that the newer ones got weak, you know, kind of sissy spring pulls. Well, back in the day, wasn't that long ago, but, you know, 2012, 2015, you got a Great Eastern Cutlery, and that sucker had a bear trap on it. It was, you got your finger in the way when it was closing, it probably chopped the end of it off. It was, you know, it was like a really stout spring, and I guess, you know, and the fit and finish was immaculate. I mean, you could go over that knife with a magnifying glass, you wouldn't find nothing wrong. And now the quality's kind of gone downhill, and you can't find them. And the secondary market, it's all jacked up. And maybe Case is trying to do that same thing. I don't know. I hope not. I don't like what they're doing, but I do like Case knives. I like this one. It's a beautiful, well-made knife that gives you pride of ownership. It's really, yeah. I wish I could explain to you, if you're ever in a store or something and you see, or you have a friend that has one, pick up one of these pocket worn case knives and just run it around your fingers. It's just really pleasurable how, you know, that little extra bit of hafting on the wheel just gives it that broken, beautiful, smooth feel. Like if I could just tell you, running your thumb around like that, it is a pleasure to feel. It's just smooth, and it feels like a really well-loved, well-carried pocket knife and a brand new knife. So if you find one of these on the secondary market, case copper lock, I'd recommend you get one. Not copperhead, not copper lock. Case copperhead. I'd recommend that you get one. Or if you can find one of the earlier ones before they started doing that vault thing, you know, you get a good deal on one on eBay, pick it up. I will say this: if you know, if you're messing around online and Case has a knife that comes out and you like it, you know, go ahead and snap it up, because they're doing more and more of these goofy vault pattern things. And if you want one, get one. I would tell you, don't worry about collecting them. But if, you know, that's up to you. If you want to collect things, there's nothing wrong with collecting knives or stamps or whatever you want to do. Whatever brings you pleasure. That's the thing. I certainly ain't going to judge anybody for their knife purchases or habits. In fact, the other day on one of the chats, we were all talking about what's the maximum amount of money you would spend on a knife. And it was amazing the difference. Some people have said up to $2,000. Some people said $100. Some people said $30. So, you know, I think nowadays, I don't think I'd spend over $150 on a knife. I just wouldn't do it. You know, but that's just me. I think the law of diminishing returns when you buy a knife, you know, what you get versus how much you pay. That if you looked at that on a graph, you would start to see that you're only getting incremental improvements for a huge amount of money. Like some custom knife makers, they're charging you $600-700, but you're not getting a lot. I mean, you're getting way better fit and finish, but you're not getting a better knife. You know, then you got guys like David Yellowhorse. You're getting a work of art. You're not getting a better knife, but you're getting a work of art. So I guess it depends on what's important to you. But I think this little humble case right here, the Case Copperhead and green pocket worn bone, is as good a knife as you could ask for. I couldn't ask for any more out of a knife than this knife. And at the time I paid $72 for, you know, $72 for it at that saddle shop. So anyway, that's been my ramblings on the Case Copperhead. I'll give you another look around it. We'll go a little slow circle here. Let you take a look here at the centering and all that. And I really appreciate you stopping by. If you like what I'm doing, please like and subscribe. And I do get back to everybody that leaves me a comment. I really appreciate everyone. I appreciate every one of you that subscribe. I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. Not that I ain't trying to be a YouTube star, but I appreciate knives, and I appreciate people that like knives. You know how we are. I mean, it's a good community. I've met a lot of really good people, and we all kind of share that one thing in common. So it ain't like the old days where we'd all sit around a potbelly stove in a store somewhere talking knives. That's what people used to do in small towns, but this is kind of how we do it, you know, nowadays. We kind of gather up here on the YouTube and we talk about our knives. So anyway, if you like what I'm doing, like and subscribe. I appreciate every one of you, and I tell you what, we'll catch y'all down the road.